I'm at the last music video set location that I'm going to visit today. We're in Dayton, Ohio. This set location, I came for both the Playfully Purple version and also the piano version that I did more recently. So I'm going to show some photos and we're going to walk over. I want to see if I can find the pole I was swinging on. That's from the piano version, and this is from Playfully Purple. That's the pole we want to find. Is it possible? I think that'll be easy to find. I'm not sure. And I don't know if in the piano version I was hanging on to the same pole, and that's one of the reasons I came back here again, was to see if I could find it today when I'm not recording a music video, because that was something on my mind during that time. I would have liked it to be the same pole, but I don't know if it is. I think I got the closest one that looked like it by looking at all the other pictures. It's the same one I'm leaning against. And we'll see if we can find that grass bank that's over here. That's it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We want to try to find a pole and see about the grass bank, and then I'm hoping that I can include a little something extra with this music video blog, set location-y type, and then I'll be able to talk a little more after that. Okay, I'm gonna give this a try. I got my picture. See that? I don't know if you can see it back there. There's like 3 trees in the back. Ta-da! Over there it is. Yeah. I was also glad to see the piano one was the same pole, because I can see the 2 trees over there on the right. It appears to me that those are the ones right over here. This one you get a little bit better of a view if you look at the trees. In the background there, that would be more on the screen to the right. So there you go. We got 1, 2, and the 3. So that, I would say, is most certainly a definite. Do you see the light pole there? And then there's one over there. And I think that one is the one. And I think that one over there is the other. Do you see the guard rail? If you look right here at that pole right there, okay? And you see that tiny little tree after the shrub line? Look what that tree became. Isn't that cool? See that? I think it grew just a little bit, didn't it? Because if you look at the tree, it looks like it's a little bit smaller than the height of the building. But if you look over here, it looks like it grew taller than the building. You think that's the same one? If you look over here at the smaller shrubs, they look like they grew just a little tiny bit too. But not as much as that tree. That tree from this distance looks like it's taller than the poles that are behind it. It's almost like right in the middle there. But the tree over here in the video, if you can see those poles, it's not even what appears to be, to me, about half the height of those poles. I think this would be the pole that I swung around in my video when I didn't know how to moonwalk or break dance or spin on my head or do cartwheels. Okay, all kinds of things like that. What do we do in a music video when originally how some of it got started was when I was self-employed playing solo acoustic guitar, and I wrote a few songs as I went through life since I was about 10-ish, and you kind of start desiring more to hear your songs recorded, or you'd like to do something with the songs. You try to connect with different people, and you connect with people for live entertainment, but you don't really connect with too many when it comes to that process of it that I ended up doing since I was here in Ohio. I did not, anyway. I most certainly would be lying to you if I said any different. I didn't want to just connect with anyone. I was hoping to connect with what I come to realize compatible psychological. It's funny once you start to realize a lot of things and you get into psychology. I've been had most of my life, and a large portion of it is when things are introduced to you in psychology, it's just not interesting. Why it's not interesting? Many details. But when it is brought up psychological, a lot of times, let me just say, I never met somebody as cool as me talk to me about psychology and utilize the Word of God the way that I have come to scream through the camera as I realize more and more and more that most of what's being said in the world is encouraging strongly for you to go against serving your own brain. When you do that, it will be tremendously acknowledged as much different in the approach. I didn't know what to do, and I was sad, and I felt passion, pain, hurt. Is that it? Pain and hurt? Hurt, same. For the lyrics in the song, confusion, not knowing what there is necessarily for me to do in such times as they have come to. I made my video realizing that when I was playing out, one of the more beneficial contributions that you can give others in promoting yourself would be, for me, more specifically, songs you wrote, hopefully bringing those songs into excellence in the recording studio so that when you give it to another person or you sell it to another person or you make it available online or what have you, the one thing I learned in listening to a lot of music is you don't want to waste a penny. You don't want to waste your time hitting play and not liking a song. You'd like to hear songs you love. And as you listen to songs you love, and it brings you in to whatever works for you, the reality of it is that in itself at times has done more for me than even a conversation with another human being or hearing some weird-ass motivational speaker. Okay. Talk about things that some of it applies, but the majority does not. I don't feel so foolish anymore recording my music and listening to it and realizing things could have really went awry if I were to speak before I served my brain. Now you realize there's many fools of the earth who walk back and forth the stage like they know what the fuck they're talking about, especially when it comes to God. And if what they're saying on a stage, when you open up the Bible, is not the same, I would go for the Bible rather than the human being. In other words, owe the penalties for speaking people into an extremely unhealthy human relationships. See, I'm convinced in God's way it's not one person doing for anyone, but it's people with compatibility. As they do, it's beneficial for their own life. And multitudes. Now, what do you do once you have the recordings? And you're playing out, you're talking to a lot of people that appreciate what you're doing, they love your music. What ends up happening is, hey, when are you going to do a music video? I've been hearing that since I was like 14 or 15. Why don't you do a music video? Why don't you record a song? Why don't you record an album? I've heard people say, listen to the guys on TV, they're not really that great. I heard you play, you have heart. I'm sure you have something to say. Why don't you write it in a song and record it and make a video and release it, etc., etc. I heard many things like that. And I would have to say that I personally didn't want to do a large portion of every single thing all by myself. I really wanted to do something more that I would be interested in. But because in this world you need money for everything, it doesn't make sense that all you can do is sit around with wants and not be able to act upon any of them. And I realize more and more as I'm doing this, when I get into my brain, that I was always right. Once you have money, you can do things that you want to do. You realize, even if it's not happening in the physical, the psychology of it shows you. Look all the ways that you could now really be in much more compatible relationships if you chose to. Because if you don't know how to do your brain, you don't know how to do relationships with other people. People talk about relationship with yourself, relationship with God, but then when you get into the truths of God, they don't really mean what they say. Because if they really meant it, then when you reply back, they might not get so disgusted with you. Jesus spoke many times, upset many people. If you go read the Bible, that's what's real. Truth. Jesus was about truth. And when he spoke, it was universal. It was not because he was trying to raise money. So what do? I grab a pole, and just like any other day that I was either bored, especially, or depressed, I grab a hold of pole, just spin around. Sometimes when I'd be talking to people, I have my dirt bike leaning against another pole or a tree. I was just bored, and I used to be confused because I was bored with life. And what God has shown me psychologically wise is I was bored with people's idea of what life is. And because I didn't know myself, because I did not read the Bible in its entirety and serve, what does it mean to serve God when everybody points you in the direction of go help other people? Instead of serve God means serving your inside your brain psychology truth. Most people in the world you do not want to be around, most likely. However, the ones you would appreciate might not even live on the same planet, the same country, the same city, the same state, the same city block, the same household. But we're taught what brothers and sisters are. And meanwhile, the teaching of Jesus is he was sitting with some people one day, speaking with them, when somebody came up and approached him. Who was it? And said that your family, not a quote, would like to speak with you. And he says in reply, who is what? My family in summary. I tell you the truth, the ones who are with me. Not the physical specifically. Who was it that was sitting with him? Who here knows? I thought it's supposed to be through blood work, DNA, okay? We're brothers and sisters now, okay? How about the ones who accept me for who I am? Makes more sense. You know, especially being trans, I used to kind of joke with different people I would meet, you know? Remember being a child, pretending? Did you ever thought of maybe when you see a transgendered person, maybe this person identifies as female or male, either or, they identify psychology. Did you ever thought of playing along with them, even if you didn't agree? And then maybe give some effort to mean it when you do it. This is what I realize. Sometimes when people play along with you, it starts to become more of a reality. But you won't believe it because you're a smart ass on the other side of this camera. You have it all figured out by a body part. Master of confusion. And then, how do I show a friend, a partner, that I do care, I do find you attractive? Well, let's get naked and play with each other's body parts. Uh-oh, you might find out something different about me. Will you be all right with it? How else could I show somebody else I love you? I mean, do I have to even touch you? Do I have to hold you? Do I have to compliment you? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, how do we show each other how we love each other? How about if I'm hungry and I ask for food, brothers and sisters, in the name of Jesus, I could receive the very best instead of, well, the rest. I heard a lot of comments about a lot of things, and I've learned that a lot of those comments are real. And I think a lot of those comments come from brains, many of them, not really knowing the very best way to serve their brain, let alone another brain. And This is why many people in the Christian faith, Christian community, who embrace the Holy Bible, why don't we keep God in the middle of this the best that we can? And if we include God, maybe our relationships would be a lot better. And then maybe we'll find out things that God calls sin we might not want to do with one another or even in our own lives, because it makes us cleaner in the presence of God and ourselves. No more crusty nights, God. So I swing around the pole. I don't know what else to do. Make a video. And because I don't know how to survive in this world, I even wrote a song about this survival in this world. I don't know what to do. When I go back through my own mind, all the things, high risk in a lot of jobs that I've done, whether because of working around chemicals, powder, substances, climbed heights, walked on flimsy boards that were ready to break, forced dispatching and driving semi-truck, they say there is none. Well, if you quit, there's none. And I have walked away several times. With that in mind, I quit. I need rest. I entertained, not like others. I strummed the guitar. I hugged lots of people, kissed lots of people, mainly on the cheek. So long as it wouldn't offend whoever they were with. I wouldn't want to be chased out of the venue. And I've done other things, and entertainment is what seemed for me, however you go about it. Number one, you're instantly in a cheerfuler spirit if you allow yourself to be there, and I did. For me, if I gave my entirety to entertaining how I did, not what you think, I'm a hell of a lot happier, because if I were to sit down and think on that grass bank, reality, it's a very lonely, very cold existence to live in. And what's really weird is once you get your hands on what you said for years and do, you try not to think about that stuff as much as you can, and you become happier in moments of time. I didn't know a person could be that happy. And I didn't know that because I can't do life in this world, because as soon as I attempt to do it, it's causing a problem somehow, some way. And the only thing you can relate it to is Satan, and Satan's helper hates anything to do with Christhood, which is a cheerful, childlike spirit that embraces truth, and the world that we live in is all fucked up in the head. I remember when I found it hard when I was dating genetic girls to find anybody who was not either cheating on someone they were with, all husbands and wives included, or they just got out of a relationship not so long ago, like maybe this week. That's not someone I want to be around. Did you ever say to another, I said this quite a few times in my life, I'll tell you what, if you're certain about the relationship that you just split up with, give it a few months, give it a half a year, give it the year, take a year off. We can still talk, we can still be friends, maybe we can consider. Today I wouldn't say that at all. I have no interest. I have no interest because it's a waste of time. Americans and how they go, the majority about relationships, is what has always disturbed me. I never really knew what I meant when I said I just want to do something. What I really meant is I find out in time I wanted to be fulfilled. And American culture lacks the cup, let alone the purities for fulfillment. America is not the well of life, kids. It is not the nutrients some people would say your soul, your spirit needs. But yet we go on with it because we don't know what else to do, because, hey, that's life. And then I hear that as I go through life, and then I find out, hold on a minute, no, it's not life. If you get into the Word of God, more answers will come to your brain, and then you'll realize why you're walking on dental floss around everything. And I realize if I do what I want to do, I'm a hell of a lot happier. Most of the time, my problem is because of the weird way we go about governance, people's beliefs. Somebody else, in a worldly sense, has authority over my position, and it kind of pisses you off because you know the answer. Nobody has seniority over my position. I'm a child of God. Be mindful of how you talk to me. Because if we get into the book of Revelations, that which is against me will be destroyed. Was it King David who sung and danced before the Lord? Who danced before the Lord? Stomp out my enemies, God, please. People rejoiced in the Bible for God destroying the enemy. I don't know the answer because sometimes it seems like a lot is the enemy. Sometimes it seems like all creation has a very high potential, even when tripping and falling into the bush. God, creation just got a hold of me and put scratches all over me. Did you ever trip over a stick and think that little twig got the better of me? So anyway, this is the pole. And all I could do is reflect back since 1972 when I was born. Reminisce on my years here in Ohio and think to myself, why am I even doing this, you know? This isn't the way I wanted it to be. I mean, if you want my complete honesty, the way that mega churches raise all the hype, God has a great calling on our lives. Ministerial, I think I'm going to give everything up in the world that we have, that I have. I don't know, God's calling me into ministry, and then you find out, wow, look what happened. And then as I have time in the studio and I'm thinking, I don't know what else to do. Maybe I have to go about this one on my own because it just seems weird to be self-employed considering how stingy, selfish, lazy. Can I just say, most of the people that I've talked to, where it mattered in the music and entertainment industry, lacked the qualities the Bible says is valuable, which makes sense to me why I had so many difficulties once I have time to think about it. And if every time in the Christian community, whether it's an elder of a church, a worship leader, a head pastor, you have struggles that you're dealing with within that, and you're communicating with them, and the result is your brain will let you know. You know just about as much as you knew before you even started to talk to them the first time. You learned what you learned, but this way obviously is not going to work because it's what makes sense, especially if it's in your brain and your brain is encouraging you to reach out to different people. You try to let people know I'm not what you think, I'm not like other people. Okay, I have serious matters here. This is what I believe. I am a major hit songwriter. I have a love of God in me. I love and embrace the Bible. I want to do great mighty things before the eyes of the Lord. And I'm having a hard time with my fellow mankind shunning me and looking down on me as I go through life. I am in a lot of connectivity with play another one. Play one by this person or this band. Very seldom do I hear, why don't you play one of yours? Where I am one of the people that I will walk up to your band at some point when I feel it's cool, and I'll ask if you have one of your own. Because that's what I would rather hear sometimes, maybe always. Something new, something different, something inspirational, something that might inspire me to do something, rather than head on out of here and either go home or go to another place and maybe go for a country drive. So I always had a hard time not doing things in a manner that says more rewarding, more fulfilling, more exciting, more of I'm looking forward to it. A lot of realizations. Did I write in Dayton, Ohio before flood through my soul? Jesus, let your love flood through my soul. That was my California psychological tragedy. I don't remember which one came first. Jesus, Jesus, let your love flood through my soul. One of the greatest songs in the fucking world. And you know what I've said to God many times over? I have seen many Christians stand on a stage in a room, sit on a chair, stand up. They share their testimony. What ends up happening a lot of times in the city of Nashville and country music, at least up until 2010, 11, 12, 13, same thing that happens in rock and roll music and pop music, is it just becomes vomit, okay? Boring. The same thing, just different people doing it. You know what God left me know a long time ago? They hate when you say clothes is what matters. They hate when you say, all I need is myself and my own microphone and or guitar. I don't have to be anything other than me. There's something special out there. Where? Where's it at? Has an eye on you, Tracilyn. So I liked when I was leaning in the piano video. Lean on me when you're not strong. I used to love that song. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. For it won't take long before I'm gonna need. I love that song. It was one of the few songs that I learned a little tiny bit on the piano. I wanted to learn the slow part because that's what I realized my talent is. You know, I'm, as I joke, not in the mom scene, I'm not Beethoven on the piano. And I'm sorry if it offends anybody for me saying that. I loved different guitar personalities. I like their style. And I was not what I thought talented enough in the realms like other people, but I did feel like I was definitely interested. At some point in my teen years, I realized I'm going to give up on trying to be faster, but I'm not going to give up on studying the different styles and techniques and ways to tap your fingers and all that other stuff. And one of my cherishable guitar players I said over and over again was B.B. King, and I'm not by any means meaning this in a bad way. It's a good way, but the way B.B. King played, especially on the older albums, the earlier albums, to me, got in me, my brain. And I thought, if I could get books, lesson books, hear the slow things that they're doing. I used to say I wish I could slow them down. This is the only back in the time when I had the technology I did today. You could easily slow them down with the studio dolls and stuff like that. But anyway, it worked better for me with numbers and tablature, as I said. And with that being said, because I was not there yet with recording and laying down my first track, even though my mom did encourage me often, my grandmother encouraged me often. And I often looked in my room and I felt drained of depression, like consumed with it. Because I realized that's a lot of lonely time for me. It's a difficult thing for me to learn, now to record. Wow. One thing I really embrace with technology has come a long way, and I am so grateful that I have surpassed a lot of things. Keeping up with technology, mentally wise, that's still frustrating. I am really one that I realized that if I could have had a foundation set to my psychology, not only would I learn to do, I could actually witness magnificence blossoming before my eyes and my ears. I forget who it was, but they talk about planting yourself somewhere and planting yourself. I don't necessarily like that thought, especially if I didn't want to live somewhere to begin with. I think what most people neglect is you want to serve your brain, and that's me. If I could keep it simple, stupid, instead of keeping up with everything that's happening in the world around us, I could do a lot more than I ever could if I have to keep researching and learning. Looking things up. How do you do this? How do you do that? What's the best this? What's the best that? What do you do when this happens? What do you do when that happens? Because you don't want to surrender, or you wouldn't have Memphis Blues. And for anybody who's heard my Memphis Blues and laughed, it's okay. I laughed a lot because my brain assures me what it could be, let alone what it already is. And if I was trying to be the coolest rock band in the world, then I wouldn't have had the Blues Brothers singing and dancing in my head while I was recording it. The movies. It's almost like there's a psychological genius in my brain. The one thing that I missed in my musical endeavors, this is a good one for songwriters nights and people who embrace Nashville for what it was. I don't know if they still do it, but they have songwriter rounds. People come in or on the stage. They get the opportunity to share their songs that they wrote, and that's what specifically it's for. And then you have like NSAI, where you also get together with a room full of people, speak to one another. You get to learn the craft of writing hopefully a hit song or a great song, to get you started on a song. I talked to people in life groups, got together with the Word of God. I even sat at the table with elders of the church, elder of the church, which was one of the highlights in my life. And can I tell you that I never once got together like that with recording artists, where people share, and the topic is recording and how do we make a great recording song, music, album. I have the opportunity to share and, critique it. Didn't have that. There was some of it in NSAI. Some people wind that in. You can bring in a recording and bring in your guitar or instrument or whatever the deal is, or just lyric sheets, and so there's lots of ways that you can do that, but it was not specifically tailored to that. So I didn't even have no idea I was going to be a recording artist by the time I was writing some of my most amazing songs. I wrote great songs my whole life, is what I come to the realization. Psychology can take a jingle from the radio and make it a major hit song, okay? Some people believe that anything could be a major hit song in psychology if that's your strong interest to do. So I'm relieved, because if it's one thing I knew for sure I was living at 142 Lebanon Villages, if I do it, I want it to sound just as good as the people's on the radio. And I was like, 10 through 13. I wanted it to at least sound as good as my uncle's quartet. That's what I used to think. Anyway, made the video, and the reason I made the video is I was being tormented about doing a video for just you and me after it was recorded in the studio. And that would mean that it was on my mind since I was a teenager, since seeing Satch Boogie on TV about doing maybe something myself, but I didn't want to do it by myself. I wanted to do it with others, and I didn't know the first thing about putting together a video. And I tried connecting with other people, and people want paid, and when it comes to a lot of different things, I have to be completely honest. Most of the people that you do pay, that I came across, won't say no names, it wasn't what I would have been satisfied to hit play and watch, like the other videos I used to watch on MTV. And I wanted to make a cool video, and I don't know how that would look. So originally, that video I wanted to do in the back of a pickup truck driving through the mountains that I love, country roads and stuff, with other people driving and stuff, and in the back with me. And so that visual was in my head for a long time. I did not do it, and I'm actually glad in a way, because that season of time of mine said bye-bye. Then I remembered that I once used to be around a lot of people. I could have made some really cool stuff if I could have connected with some people, but that was no longer with me, and I have changed dramatically. Then I decided, without not knowing what to do, I wanted to make a great video. One of them was in Dayton, Ohio, because I love the song. And I don't know if the person or persons that inspired the writing of the song would, but I would have loved to have the opportunity to meet someone that was close. Have the opportunity, if it was okay, as a gift, to give them a copy of the song. Not the copyright ownership, the recording of the song. And the opportunity to talk to, like I think so, a daughter or someone else, maybe knows details, because I have some details of my own, things that I've been dealing with, since I was born. And I'll share more about that then. So, with that being said, I made my video. I'm thinking of all of this stuff, so I'm talking. I couldn't believe that it was turning out like it was. It was difficult for me. I could see that the recording process had kind of taken its toll on me a little bit physically. I was not able to take care of myself as well as I did before recording. It's funny, even when I was an escort, I used to go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. I would tan on a regular basis. Details were important to me. I think it was part of my offering myself as an entertainer to be at my very best. And I didn't like to really see other people that I was entertaining if they didn't at least be considerate. You don't have to be like me, which is probably even better, you know, for me, because then I can tease you with that. I realize that too. I have a problem sometimes. I'm okay right now because of reasons my brain can adapt and adjust. But I was pale white, can I tell you that? My skin tone, my hair color didn't turn out right. I just cut my hair or had it done. It was kind of short. I do it sometimes and sometimes I don't, but that's what I was dealing with then, not today. I was dealing with it during the video. So that's stuff that was going in my head when I was doing this, all that stuff. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm gonna go down here, hopefully successfully be able to share with you 2 touching stories. And I would love to share more, not only when I'm there, but maybe I'll go home or go somewhere else where it's quieter and away from the traffic. This is pretty much it. I wanted to make sure this was the pole, and it looks like it. This is the view of what's around. I remember those 3 trees, thank goodness they're still there. Bushes, they've grown. Different light poles. I love the light poles. You see that? I think the light poles are really pretty. And to be completely honest with you, though I would be a little nervous to do so, see that light pole right there? Isn't that nice? I would have liked to make either my Manhattan, New York song video at a place like this, or cold winter storm in the snow, especially when the lights are lit. I thought about that a lot. And obviously right now I'm not doing any more music videos. I am done. What it had turned into is what it had turned into. I was gonna do a happy video, the newer recording version of it, by the river if I had time. I do not have time for that. Meaning time in life, details, psychology, getting things done around the home, the car, wrapping things up in the studio. I was gonna do, I met a man by the name of Jim down in Nashville, Tennessee. I was gonna do that, just kind of goof off with a little bit and a couple stadium fields. I was talking about that before in my video blogs, but I just continue to keep working on what I feel is the dominant desire to do. That's how Ragtop got recorded. That's how Welcome to Miami got done. That's how a lot of the other things that I was working on got done. Psychological truths, serving other desires that to me are in many ways greater than if I were to stick with something that I was aiming to do eventually. Not to mention when I think about some of those videos, I think it would have been a hell of a lot cooler to have a much nicer production of it. And the one person is not going to be able to do that unless they do many parts. And I don't want to do that, and it's not on my budget to do it. So with that being said, and I wanted to do Cold Winter Storm because I love the song, because one of my favorite bands as a teenager was Cinderella, and I love Long Cold Winter. It's my favorite blues song ever written. I've been watching, I've been crying in the dead of the night. I like the way he sings it. I don't sing like that. And that would be one reason that I would think that I'm not much of a singer. I didn't know my part in doing music, I understood I can't play guitar like other people. Thank goodness other people have come along and I could play along easier, and I was like, wow, I guess I could do it, Maybe if I was a guitar player of some sort and I didn't do any singing, because some bands are like that, that might be good for me, Just be like a friendly personality and play guitar and stuff. Anyway, it all turned into what it turned into, and I realize a lot different today. And I do not sing like a lot of people I used to love to listen to. I sing how I sing. I didn't realize how much fun it can be at times. The fun is superior than any fun I ever had in my life when I do it at times and I'm not being harassed. Cold Winter Storm is one of my favorite songs. I turned it into an instrumental as well on another album. I watch my videos when I do get time to exercise, because I still exercise, but I don't work out. I'm not on a schedule. I'm not on a fitness program. I grab some weights once in a while and I just double check. I have my own prayers in my head. God, please help me keep this together. You need your physical strength. I do care. I don't want to get too lost in the serving of some of the other things, so I don't feel I'm lost with it, but I I feel like I'm focused on it so much, I just don't have that extra time. And there's many people that would say we gotta make time. And I was always a firm believer of that until you really are into the depths of your brain and you're doing what you're doing. There's many times I walk by a barbell and I might touch it, and that's about as close as I get. Sometimes I'll kiss my treadmill, and I will always thank God I can still walk to the car. So with that being said, I wanted to make my cold winter storm video, and I felt that out of all the videos from me, like it could be made like to its extreme, like really theatrical, you know, with all the different effects. It could be a really, really, really cool music video. Not to mention the snow and all that other stuff, like real snow though, if it's possible. Then I thought to myself, well, that would be great, but that's not in my budget. I don't see myself taking out a bank loan for that. Now here's the thing. So I thought, well, with the smartphones, which has inspired me a lot of different ways, because you can make simplistic, or you can get more complicated, you know, it's up to yourself, I guess. But for me, I could make simplistic video, because I get a little nervous about trekking around in the cold, you know. I wanted to do it in the snow, though I wouldn't want to do it in a blizzard and get stuck in the blizzard. You know, I think of things. I think about transportation, you know, I think about, you know, a lot of things that you don't want to happen when making a video like that. And I also think of how cool it would be able to watch the video if I could capture some of that feeling, because I was blessed in that regard with that kind of feeling of understanding how cold everything can seem to a person and how lonely it can feel as you're still holding on to life. Anyway, I would have enjoyed it while I'm exercising if I ever can get back to that point again. So that's it. I was hoping to do Cold Winter Storm, and I did not. And I thought, you know, with the instrumental, the way it turned out really great. Sounds even better in some ways. But I was hoping to, you know, remaster some of my songs and tweak them a little bit, get them to sound a little bit better someday, and still do great things, you know? I don't know what that means. That means I'm open to doing great things with my music, or in life, period. So I did not make that video, and I'm hoping someday I will. If only to capture snow and edit it and make it an instrumental, so you just have the snow at least, you know. In Dayton, Ohio, here by the light pole. I am getting ready to drive down Interstate 75. There's 2 locations I'm hoping that I can actually get to. If I cannot, because of it being maybe on the property of something or someone else, then I guess I'll have to share a little bit about it, maybe on Google Map or something. So I'm gonna just look around here quick. One of my pictures is kind of displaying this as the sun was setting. I was wrapping up the piano version, and I thought that was really, really, really cool. The picture looked really cool to me, even when it was happening, as it was happening. I looked up and I thought, wow, that's a beautiful, beautiful sky, the way the sun is setting and everything. It was remarkable. And I really, really wanted to capture that, and that's why I kind of leaned up against the pole, just so I could kind of get that and somehow include it into the video. So I see that, as I'm realizing this, as I'm doing things, you see that on a rotation when you're watching it. And you want as much cool stuff in your video as possible, what you like, and that gets into your brain. And it's kind of like good luggage, a bag that you packed, and you're walking around with that imagery kind of in your head, and it's like the whole world around you is forming into something much more attractive than it once was. But without it, ouch, you know, then you might see a lot of things you don't care for, you know. And then you walk around with that in your brain. Look at this. I wonder if there's little tiny life forms. Isn't that cool? What is that? Looks like a mushroom, doesn't it? I don't know if you want to eat that one. There's some mushrooms you can eat and some you don't. I don't know if this is one you can eat or not. I was taught that at some point in my life, especially in case I was ever homeless or in need and hungry. that the one thing that the government does not own is the right to separate a human being from survival. They might think different, or they want you to think different. I feel so sorry for anybody going through any hardships whatsoever. I really did believe the way everybody talks about God that things would be much more superior than what the hell they turned out to be. I didn't know. See, it seems weird that I would have to become more of an arrogant, cocky, smart-mouthed son of a bitch and be more of the book of Revelations and set people into their place than to, yes, sir, anything you say, sir. Well, you are the state of Ohio, sir. If you want it that way, then I shall be obedient to you. And it sucks if you live in a very low mentality in comparison to what one human being is capable of being intellectually. And that's what you have to submit to when it comes to rules, laws, regulations, and policies. Can I ask you something? Is there any state here that with their mouth would say, we are intellectual, okay, existences, and we don't have time to be sitting in an office conversating pathetically? May another rule, law, and regulation ever again separate any of us from God's goodness, please. Check it out. See that? Look back here. See that pole? See the light pole? And the little fence type thing? Barrier? There. I don't know if this is the exact location I was at, but it's close. And I think I might have been up here in the middle of the two trees by the light pole. Ta-da! I used to like sitting on grass banks. It's funny when you don't know what to do in life and you're bored with what you think is life. Me, I sat on a grass bank and I would look around confused because I thought everybody was fucked up in their own way, you know, back then. Now I'm definitely certain. It's funny how that carries into me doing a music video. When you don't know what else to do, it's not that I was bored specifically. I sit down on a grass bank and do the best I can. I was trying to stay close to the interstate. This is like an on-ramp to go to 75 South. That was very important to me. I don't think I was 100% certain if the song I was inspired by what happened on 75 or if it was 70. I'm not 100% sure what I was thinking at that time. As I explained earlier, I am most certainly relieved because yes, it is true. Not necessarily because things happened, but I'm relieved in the fact that I was trying or attempting to share my heart through video with that song about that, because I was hoping to raise awareness about suicide so that others could be aware. Maybe somehow my sharing my life story would breathe hope. Maybe I'd say something that would be inspirational, hopefully prevent someone from committing suicide. Okay, that's it, inspiration. But just to show you really quick what's up here. There you go. Okay, so I'm gonna say goodbye to the trees. I'm glad they're still here. Made it a little bit easier to find the pole. And I actually like looking at them, you know, even in the videos. I kind of like these trees. Hopefully they'll be here for a while and have a happy life by the interstate. I'm gonna walk over here, share a little bit more. I'm gonna give a kiss this way to the pole, goodbye, and then onward for a drive. You're like up here, that's like, you can see it in the video. Is it at the end of the video, beginning of the video? I wanna see this tree over here. Let's see how tall it is. And then I'm ready to get going. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Let's get up close and see. Oh my, look what it is. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know. May your days be merry and bright. May all your Christmases I still listen to that song on a pretty regular basis. I have a little Christmas holder on my desktop. It helps me when I'm in need of something to bring me into a greater state of peace, relaxation when I'm working on something, like gluing plastic together. So one of my little secrets, I think, is this one of my favorite trees. I don't know if this is a blue spruce 100% or not. Blue spruce is one of my favorite. I don't know what this is. What is it? I don't know everything. When I landscaped, I did this. I cut the grass. That was my fun. That's cool. I like that. So that was a little baby tree. I'm going to show you really quick. Okay, look at that. See that? Now look. How tall do you think it became? So that might be one reason why I had a really hard time with cutting down a Christmas tree. It was like, 4 or 5, 6 feet, 8 feet, or whatever, you get. Who knows what it'll turn into. No offense to one person that doesn't. I understand. I hacksawed one down myself. I used to go to a tree farm and get our Christmas trees. I don't do that now in my life at this time. I'm not saying I would never, ever, ever do it. I would never want to say that, but to each their own beliefs with that. I personally have always thought that if I had a place, I would rather have one planted, and then if it can handle it, hopefully, you can care for it and decorate it. There's like little pine cones as well. There's a lot in this lifetime I will not do. Which is a large reason why I believe the encouragement to write songs was dominant in my life. Because if you're serious about wanting to hear those songs in this lifetime, then you better get it going. How are we going to do this? If you're going to find out you're going to do it yourself in a very hostile world, you're going to go through all kinds of hell to do it. Stringing people along as they go through life is exactly what it feels like. Meanwhile, I'm very fortunate because I think I became the greatest songwriter in the world. And personally, I think if there were more humans with likenesses, more like Christ than me, but like me, then the truth is, maybe I wouldn't be complaining about the music on the radio. Maybe I wouldn't be complaining about the same boring stuff over and over and over again. Maybe their music would be breathing life into me, and I'd really want to do things, and then maybe I'd become more educated psychologically every time I hear one of their songs. I'm not saying I'm the example, because I'm not the best example. That's Christ. I'm Tracilyn, nice to meet you. It sucks as you come in because music is psychology, and as you come into more, you realize what could be done and nobody's doing it. You realize what could be done. Nobody is doing it. Which is funny because maybe we'll be blessed someday. God will bring upon us a little bit more upright in the eyes of the Lord, so we have an example that's far greater than any of us can be together. It's kind of funny when you realize the way a lot of ministries go about doing a lot of things, you know. And let me tell you something, if you're the receiver, you'd be surprised what's being said to the many. Please, God, don't let me be that way. Even on my worst day, may your word vessel through me in such a manner that delights you. Okay. That tree has turned out pretty amazing. It's not so tiny whiny no more. I would love to sing another Christmas song there. Okay, onward to the location. Hopefully I have enough time to do what I wanted to do.